February 19th, 1968. The first episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood went live and would go on to positively influence an entire generation of kids. But it's been over 20 years since Mr. Rogers stopped airing. And now the minds of innocent children across the nation are being influenced, manipulated, and damaged by these people.
Cause I'm an island boy and I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy.
Fuck the woman, fuck the woman.
What?
Mr. Rogers tried to warn us about this because he knew over time that his message would fade. So in what might be his final gift to us all, he left behind a powerful message that can still save us. This is Mr. Rogers' final gift.
Welcome again to this neighborhood. I'd like to show you something. You know what this is? Well, maybe if I press this button. Grow anything in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind.
Catch me outside, how about that?
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
You gotta give him that huck to and spit on that thing, you get me?
If you're the kind of person who feels like they need therapy, you're useless.
Oh my, this is a noisy world.
Influencers and brain rot content isn't something new, and it's not happening just because of the internet. But back in the 1960s, it was a little different. Instead of cringe influencers and immature personalities, it was flashy cartoons and people being pied in the face. But Mr. Rogers hated this. So he decided to use his TV show to do something that no one else dared to do.
But it's you I like, the way you are right now.
In a crazy, fast-paced world, Mr. Rogers decided to slow down. When he put on his famous cardigan, he changed an entire nation by using his TV show to educate children. And he changed millions of lives doing this.
During that segment, we made eye contact. And he said, you know, I like you just the way you are. You know, you make every day a special day. And I like you just the way you are. No man had ever told me he loved me. And he did. And I knew he meant it.
I turned around and said, like, look, I just want to tell you how much you mean to me. And he said, he didn't say like, thank you, I appreciate that or anything. He was just like, oh, did you grow up as one of my television neighbors? Like, just the way he said it was so sweet. I was like, yes, yeah, I was your neighbor.
I felt like I was touched by an angel when I met Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers covered complicated topics that no one else dared to talk about. For example, in June 1968, the nation was watching as something horrible happened.
Those of us who loved him and who take him to his rest today.
The nation was watching the Kennedy family prepare to bury another
what he
brother.
wished for others.
Bobby Kennedy had just been assassinated.
Tens of millions of kids saw this on TV, but most of those kids didn't have parents or anyone else that they could trust and look to ask about what they were seeing. So here's what Mr. Rogers broadcasted next.
What does assassination mean?
Have you heard that word a lot today?
Yes.
I've been terribly concerned about the graphic display of violence which the mass media has been showing recently. And I plead for your protection and support of your young children. There is just so much that a very young child can take without it being overwhelming.
Everything that scared kids or that confused them, like divorce and racism and all the confusing things that grown-ups did, Mr. Rogers was there to help. But even though Mr. Rogers helped hundreds of thousands, even millions of people across the world, there was a problem. One of the same problems we're facing today that's threatening our nation. And it threatened Mr. Rogers' show, forcing him to shut everything down and abandon millions of little innocent kids who are just trying to understand this big, scary world. See, in 1961, President Nixon proposed a plan to Congress to remove over $20 million in government funding for educational shows like Mr. Rogers. And most of those shows, especially Mr. Rogers, didn't make money. and they couldn't sustain themselves because Mr. Rogers had a deep belief that kids' attention shouldn't be monetized. So when Nixon was pulling funding, it meant that everything Mr. Rogers stood for, like helping kids and teaching them, was being threatened. And that's exactly what's happening today. Capitalism has created this system where you and your attention is the product. So in order to get your attention and hold it, people need to say and do crazier and crazier things because that's the only way to make money. So people are incentivized to create content that gets attention. And that's why we have all these influencers that we see today, because that's what makes money. But Mr. Rogers knew that. So when Nixon was gonna pull $20 million worth of funding away, he knew that the only thing left on TV would harm the children watching it. But then, in 1961, Mr. Rogers fought back, and he testified in Congress against President Nixon's cuts.
Senator Pastore, this is a philosophical statement and would take about 10 minutes to read, so I'll not do that.
It's the first time I've had goosebumps for the last 2 days.
Well, I'm grateful not only for your goosebumps, but for your interest in our kind of communication.
Looks like you just earned the $20 million.
And Mr. Rogers saved children's TV, and he continued to affect millions of lives in a positive way. But then, over 30 years later, in 2003, Mr. Rogers tragically passed away. And nearly the entire nation wept, remembering how pure his spirit was and how many lives that he changed.
I'm just so proud of all of you who have grown up with us.
But decades had passed since Mr. Rogers left us, and we forgot what he was all about.
Always look for the people who are helping, she'd tell us. You'll always find somebody who's trying to help.
Which is why today, it seems like we're right back where we started.
As we've been reporting, the Trump administration wants to cut the federal funds that support public media in the U.S.
But this time, it's worse. Because it's fueled by billion-dollar algorithms literally designed to hijack your attention and keep you addicted. But there's still some hope. There's people like Miss Rachel and others who are trying to help kids and provide good educational content on the internet.
What does scared look like? Can you make a scared face?
But this time, it might not be enough because children and parents are being taken advantage of by billion-dollar companies.
Give me the iPad.
Social media is more popular than ever, and access to these platforms is literally rewiring how our brains function and how we see the world.
Smartphones have wide-reaching changes all over the brain, and specifically it grows here and it shrinks there. Let's take school, for example. You're sitting in class and you're trying to focus. They're gonna be looking around, not attending to what the teacher is trying to teach them. We're just starting to see these changes, and we know they're connected to behavioral changes, depression, anxiety. The dangers are hiding in there.
And our government is literally supporting this. But the weird part is, this same thing almost happened in China, but their government stepped in to stop it. See, China has their own version of TikTok called Douyin, but the China version is different. Because rather than showing brain rot influencer content, their algorithm is designed to show educational content. And it earns more than TikTok. So that proves you can still make good money by educating people and educating kids and changing society in a good way. And Mr. Rogers knew that. But today, greed and something even darker keeps TikTok and other platforms in the US promoting brain rot content. Maybe it's a conspiracy since TikTok is still owned by a Chinese company and they want to make the US dumber. Or maybe they're making enough money that they just don't really care. But either way, no one is coming to save us. And this will not change. That's why Mr. Rogers' advice is more relevant now than ever before. So it's up to us to make the change we need ourselves. And I believe that awareness is the first step. Be aware that this is happening. Share this video with your friends and your family or anyone you know with kids so they don't fall into this trap. And even yourself, once you're done doing that, set your phone down and step outside because it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You know, that's how you can tell when you're grown up inside. You're sure that what you're planning and doing are things that can be a real help to you and your neighbor. I'm proud of you, you know that. I hope you do.